looking at it online, and you founded something called Bloom.io. That's the whole. That's the URL too. So you're online. You can check out Bloom.io. What is it, and what have you made so far?
So I co-founded it with two other people. I should mention Ben Cervini and Tom Carden. But what it is a company devoted to trying to merge data visualization and game mechanics to try to make, as our CEO says, toys for your data that become tools later on as you learn about them more, and basically trying to make the experience of browsing your data more pleasurable.
Okay. Now I'm an Instagram user.
Yeah.
In this case, have you done something interesting with Instagram?
We have, in fact. So we have this thing called Cartogram, where we scraped all the publicly accessible pictures from Instagram, and then ranked them using our proprietary algorithm to determine which ones are the most interesting for a given geopoint, and then placed them on a map. And it is a cartogram, in the sense that the size of photos is proportionate to how important they are, and you can get a sense for what's actually going on in different places in the city.
And how much interest in that have you seen people getting?
It's something that people have responded to quite well. It's definitely not browsing your personal data, so I think the engagement isn't quite as high as some of the other tools, but it's something that's very pretty, and people really kind of have enjoyed playing with it and kind of looking around and getting a sense for their neighborhood.
Yeah, I really enjoy that part of Instagram, the visualness of it.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I like is that people who are really good with their phone and with thinking about how they're telling a story with a picture can really see that featured. And one of the things that I know you talked about here is data narratives, right?
Yeah.
So how should we be thinking about storytelling with data?
Well, essentially, we should be non-reductive. I think the problem is, I'm a data scientist by training, actually, not so much of a data visualizer. And I spent most of my career building actionable business metrics, right? These are very coarse things that you can improve upon and raise and lower. And I think that's really good for management, which is sort of like a humanistically destructive activity. But in terms of helping people understand their data and kind of having a little more access, you should make it richer. You should actually, show more in a visual way, or any other thing. But visual is a good way to kind of present a lot of information very effectively and very quickly, and let them know sort of what's going on behind the information and what more that they could experience.
So to that point, how do you let them know that? What are the components of good data visualizations, and why does doing this well matter?
So there are sort of two schools of thought about that. And the one that I think the old school way that we're not playing so much with is kind of a very kind of, and we're tough to clean, efficient way of expressing as many variables as you can in a single picture. We actually take a more editorial viewpoint that maybe you have a perspective or a slant on the data that a metaphor could really underscore and bring out. And so we tend to start with kind of what is the editorial bent of what we want to show, and then what metaphors would underscore that, and can we bring the data to in a way that maps cleanly, and then from there we build a data visualization around that.
Okay, and for someone who wants to follow after, and this is the last question, what are the best tools for creating good data visualizations?
So that's actually a really interesting question. I think that everything's always changing, but everything's really changing now with the advent of HTML5 coming forth, and also WebGL becoming something that you can largely find now, and then also apps. We find that there isn't one framework that we use anymore, but frameworks like D3 for creating SVG graphics in HTML5 is a very good framework that we use a lot. We also use 3GS sometimes for WebGL access on the web, and then we've been using a lot of Cinder and open frameworks for C++ on the application side.
Cool.
All of our iOS stack is Cinder-based.
Well, that's a great place for people to start. And if for people who are online or if we're listening later on, like I said, you can visit the site. It's bloom.io, and you can see their work right there. So again, this was Jesper Andersen, the co-founder of Bloom Studios. Thank you for joining us today. He's at J Andersen on Twitter if you'd like to follow him and see some of the work that they're doing there.